Welcome to Data Fuel, the podcast where we unlock the power of data science for small and medium-sized businesses. From data-driven decision-making to practical tools and AI, we're here to help your SMB grow smarter and faster. Subscribe now and fuel your business with data. Now, onto the episode. And welcome to episode 1 of Data Fuel. Today, we're going to be talking about building a data-driven culture in your SMB. Whether you're a solopreneur, an owner-operator, or maybe you've scaled to 10, 20, 50, 100 employees, having data-driven decision-making will make your business more productive. It will make your business more profitable. I'm Rome Villar, founder of a company called Full Send. We are an accounting and data consultancy and see these problems every single day. That's what our goal is here on Data Fuel, is to help you understand how to best use a data strategy, data tools, how to leverage AI to better fuel productivity, efficiency, profitability to your business. Today, we're going to be diving into building a data-driven culture for your business. We believe that having a data strategy holistically is one of the biggest keys to SMB growth. There is some data that came out from Futrans Solutions that says that companies that embrace data-driven decision-making are 5% more productive and 6% more profitable than their competitors. Now, this is really geared more towards the higher scale SMB, 200 plus employees. So a 5% change to productivity is pretty massive at that level. 6% more profitability, it can really change your enterprise value. So when you think about embedding a data strategy into your business and what that looks like, we're really trying to look towards that end goal, that value proposition that would guide you towards making the decisions today to help improve that future outcome. We know that by adding a data strategy, by making data-driven decisions, we know that the output of that will result in an increased enterprise value. But it's the how and the why and the decisions that are made from that really help accelerate that end goal for you and your business. So today, as we talk about a data-driven culture, it's important to understand how do we think about it? How do we implement it? And what are some of the common challenges that you may face when changing what may not be a data-driven culture, maybe more intuition-driven? What are some challenges in that? So when we think about a data-driven culture, it's really a factor of having integrated data in all aspects of your decision-making, at the leadership level, at the management level, and at the transactional level of your business. So what are the choices that you're making based on the data that's available to you, rather than the choices that are being made based on just intuition or a gut feel? For most early stage businesses, there's a lot of gut decision making. That can be really challenging in the early days. And it's not until you have some degree of core momentum and understanding of market feedback and product feedback, sales data, that helps you really start to lean into that. However, you want to start as early as possible to implement a data-driven culture. You can do that by managing 3 different core characteristics to help with that. One of them is just widespread data utilization. How do you orient all of your teams across your organization to utilize data to inform their decision-making? How do you implement that as a muscle early on? So how are you having your team at the operational level of your business? Maybe it's engineering, maybe it's development of a specific tool or software. How are you measuring their productivity? How are you allowing them to gather feedback from the systems they're utilizing in order to make them more efficient in their work? There are so many tools and processes to help with this. Agile methodology is a great way to measure and iterate very quickly. But implementing systems for efficient data collection, analysis, and then sharing of that data is tremendously important. So when you think about a data-driven culture, not only is it based on data utilization, but also what's the infrastructure behind that? Are you on a Google Cloud infrastructure? Are you on Azure? Are your existing systems piped into that in a way that allows for analysis and feedback to your team on their performance, on how they are managing as a team? The last core characteristic of a data-driven culture is the commitment from leadership. If the leadership of the organization is prioritizing and modeling data-driven decision-making, that will have a ripple effect into the broader team. If the leadership team can say, here are 3 decisions that we've made, and here are the data points that support that, you will begin to foster this connectivity between how you make decisions as a leadership team and then how your team can also be making decisions that kind of emulate what you're doing at the leadership level because you're providing them an example on how to grow and how to up-level themselves as they walk through their career progression. So why do we need a data-driven culture? We've kind of explained what it is, but why do we need that? We mentioned that decision-making via data-driven approaches leads to better outcomes. What this does is it leads to more accuracy and confidence in your decision-making, but then also more efficiency on how to get to that desired outcome. So if you go equipped with information saying, I know that we will encounter X, Y, and Z based on the data that we have with A, B, and C, your route to getting to that outcome will be far more efficient. You will not have to go through the learning curves and the A/B testing to have to get there if you're equipped with quality data on the front end. So immediately, by nature of having a data-driven strategy, you've already enhanced your decision-making. When we talk about increased productivity and profitability, we reference some of those figures from Futrans Solutions. We're really trying to gear towards how do we improve outcomes. With a data-driven culture from the bottom up, we will be improving our outcomes related to productivity and profitability. And maybe that's geared towards a future exit. Maybe that's geared towards just having a really efficient machine that people can maybe take more time and enjoy their lives more because they're equipped with the information and data that they need to get their current job done more effectively. The last bit of why you need this data-driven culture is because it improves your client experience. Utilizing data allows for you to create more of that personalized interaction with your customer. It may boost customer satisfaction, may boost loyalty, may boost your net revenue retention. Isn't that what we're trying to do as we build a business is drive that loyalty, drive that customer success? Without the ability to capture and analyze data, we're not allowing ourselves the opportunity to improve the customer experience as best as possible. So that may result itself in a function of collecting customer feedback on a regular basis. Even if your response rates are a little bit low, at least you're starting to gather that data, and it will help inform you on how are customers responding most effectively to my feedback gathering mechanisms. A good example here is looking at how did Chobani, as the popular yogurt brand, introduce a data-driven culture. Based on data.gov, they've got some information on Chobani that used advanced data analytics to optimize their supply chain. This allowed for their purchasing team to make real-time decisions about inventory, production schedules, distribution. It led to reduced waste and improved delivery timelines, saving both time and money. So their team was more efficient with their time, and it also improved their financial outcome by reducing waste. And so just by nature of including a rhythm of gathering, optimizing, and analyzing data, they were able to not only monetize the data through reduced waste, but also through improved time. And I suspect they're also utilizing data for improved revenue outcomes as well. So there's many ways that having a data-driven culture should be creating a feedback loop to help you drive more accurate and efficient outcomes. So how do we start to build a data-driven culture? First, we really need to start by educating our team. We've got to invest in training programs to enhance data literacy. Data literacy is one of those things it's really difficult to kind of grasp. There's so many elements of data to educate your team on based on data sources, data aggregation, data cleansing, data governance, data security. There are a number of elements here that you need to start thinking about relative to training your team. However, if you're able to start to put a strategy together and then educate your team on how you're walking down this path, you're now empowering your team to utilize data effectively in each of their roles. Once we've got our team educated, we really need to start leading by example. We talked a little bit about how important it is for a leadership team to drive decision-making based on data as an example to their team. And so the more that you're able to do that in practice from the leadership team, you start to set a precedent for the organization to follow. So we educate our team on how are we doing things? Why are we doing it? And then you lead by example and start to follow up on those things you're educating your team on to set that precedence. Once we have that plan in place, we have the idea on how we want to architect our data strategy, Now we need to start looking at what are the right tools that we need to develop or adopt in order to create a user-friendly environment for our team to really grasp and to move forward with. These could be tools like Microsoft Power BI or Tableau or other tools that allow for a powerful visualization exercise to allow your team to interact with the data and play around with it to help them be more successful in their roles. This really just benefits a better facilitation of data analysis and visualization across teams. It gets your teams rowing the same direction, singing from the same songbook, rather than looking at disparate systems where siloed data exists. So, for instance, if you've got a sales team that is just running their race and they're not tied to the marketing team, and they may be contradicting one another based on performance across each team, based on data that's coming out of each of those department verticals. And so you really want to make sure that the sales team, the marketing team, the operations team, the development team, everybody else in the organization is looking in the right direction. One of the things that we've really seen that drives problems in most businesses is that there is a lack of connectivity between the finance organization, the accounting organization, and data coming from other departments. So if you're a Salesforce or HubSpot user, the sales team may be working off of revenue figures in each of those platforms, maybe working off of contract values in those platforms, but it doesn't always tie back to the accounting and the finance. There's often big variances that come out of those exercises of reconciling your revenue on a monthly basis relative to what the contracts closed in other systems are. We need to make sure that each of those departments understand how one serves the other. So the finance department could be informing the sales department on how are we performing? What are the actuals in the business? What are we seeing from a revenue perspective? Yes, I know we signed that contract, but things actually changed after the fact. And so your commission that may be based off of a contract value that you have in HubSpot actually didn't get realized on the accounting side. And so long as those departments are reading from the same data warehouse, they have the same visualized tools in Tableau or BI, they now see a much more holistic picture on how the business is operating over time. Once everybody's singing from the same songbook, you have the right tools in place, process standardization of data collection, data analysis, and dissemination of the data will ensure that you have consistency and reliability on the data usage. And all of that is geared towards, again, having everybody rowing in the same direction. The last step is we really need to acknowledge and share the instances where that data-driven decision-making has led to a positive outcome. So if you're building a data-driven culture, not only do you need to educate your team, you need to lead by example, you need to implement the right tools, you need to create a standardized process, but you also need to create a feedback loop on how it's yielding positive outcomes for everybody involved. Reinforcing the values of a data-driven approach will help to motivate employees, help to get them moving the same direction, help them communicate more clearly. And so we're talking really high level here about how do we build that data-driven culture that I believe is so paramount to any new business starting out today. And even if you're at this 100, 200 employee mark, you can benefit from starting this process today and not waiting any further. Because as we look into a future of layering Gen AI on top of the work that we already do today, it's going to be tremendously more difficult to accomplish if you do not have that data strategy and infrastructure developed. So what are some of the challenges that you may face when you're trying to build a data-driven culture? You're going to face some resistance to change. Communicating the benefits of a data-driven culture and involving employees in the transition process will help to drive that buy-in. Getting anybody to change their day-to-day rhythm in their job is hard to do. Once people get comfortable, they don't want to change. And so why change it if it's not going to benefit them? So if you can create that again, feedback loop of information back to the employee as to how it will improve their outcomes, you will start to get a lot more buy-in. The second challenge that you may face is just data overload. Are you focusing on the right metrics that align to your business objectives? Maybe you run on an operational framework like EOS or Agile or other methodologies on how to run your business. Is the data that you're producing matching the goals, the rocks, the high-level objectives that you have for your business? You may be getting a ton of data that's actually not super relevant to those goals. And so long as those are not tied to those business objectives, you're not going to get a lot of buy-in, and you may start to experience some degree of paralysis by analysis. So ensure that you're focusing on the relevant and right metrics that align with your business outcomes. Not all data is good data. It needs to be structured appropriately in order to avoid data overload. The third challenge you may face is just identifying gaps in skill sets. Ongoing training and potentially hiring data specialists to support the process of getting everybody singing from that same songbook, rowing the same direction, may be a really helpful tool to get everybody understanding of how this new data strategy will impact the team moving forward. It can be kind of hard at first, and you will identify areas for opportunity perhaps where you can up-level your existing team to start stepping into these new processes and systems in a really helpful way, not only for themselves, but for their managers and for the leadership team. Empower your team. Ongoing training is be one of those things that will be continuous in this process. So to recap, we believe that the importance of having a data-driven culture is almost second to none right now. When we look forward into that world of Gen AI, to have this data infrastructure in place will set you up far more successfully than a business that does not have that. When you start to evaluate new technologies, new AI capabilities to layer on top of your business for your future growth. We're really excited about the opportunity that data will continue to have in every single business journey. So continue to follow along. We'll be chatting about data-driven culture, strategies, tools, tips, AI, and everything in between. Thanks for joining. Thanks for tuning into Data Fuel. We hope today's insights help fuel your SMB's growth. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, review the podcast so we can keep bringing you more data-driven strategies. Till next time, keep fueling your business with data.